Hello and welcome to Tête-à-Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. Our guest this week is retired Israeli General Amos Yadlin. He was the head of Israel's military intelligence between 2006 and 2010. He's the founder and president of the consultancy firm Mind Israel, and he joins us from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Mr. Yadlin, for being our host.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
I want to begin with Iran. For the first time ever, we've seen direct military exchanges between Israel and Iran. The last strike was by Israel in early October. Are we on the brink of a full-fledged war between Israel and Iran?
I don't think so. I think the Iranians are now considering whether the idea of attacking Israel with hundreds of ballistic missiles was a good idea. Because on one hand, they haven't achieved the goal of really establish deterrence by hundreds of ballistic missiles, because Israel has the best missile defense in the world, together with coalition with the US, France, UK, and some Arab neighbors against Iran. On the other hand, Israel shows that Iran is vulnerable. The last attack of Israel destroyed the long-range air defense of Iran, the S-300 batteries, as well as production of ballistic missiles. And the Iranians have to think now, when Trump is on board as the next American president, and he is much more hawkish against the Iranians, is that's a good idea to go to a full-scale war with Israel. The Iranians are risk-averse, and I think they will consider the situation, at least until they will understand what is the American and new administration position towards Iran.
It was reported and confirmed by the Israeli Prime Minister that Israel struck a secretive target during the last raid related to its nuclear program in a plant called Parchin. Do you think that this is a way for Israel to send a message to the Iranian leadership? We know exactly what you're doing, where you're doing it, and this is a warning.
No doubt that this was a message. I know Parchin very well from the time I was head of intelligence. This is a place when the Iranians are experimenting and maybe even producing some elements of a nuclear program. And I think the real question is about an American or Israeli attack if Iran will break out or dash to the bomb. The Iranians are very careful about their nuclear program. They want to reach the nuclear bomb not as fast as possible, but as safe as possible. And it will be, I think, less safe if the Trump administration will choose to end their nuclear program. And tell you the truth, a lot of consideration about whether taking or not taking the attack on Iran nuclear facilities are now going to the positive decision. There is more legitimacy after Iran launched hundreds of missiles to Israel and Iran calling for the destruction of Israel, the only country in the UN that is subject to threat to destroy it. And Iran is now weaker, less air defense. The main deterrence tool of Iran, Hezbollah, is destroyed. And there is making a lot of sense in Washington that looking globally at axis of anti-American forces in the world, Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran, Iran is the most vulnerable. And making sense to, if the new president wants to say to the world, America is leading again, America is strong again, Iran can be a good demonstration.
So you think that Donald Trump will okay Israeli, maybe with American help, strike on Iran's nuclear facilities, or, as some have said, Donald Trump is a transactional leader. He might be looking for a deal with Iran. We know that Elon Musk, for example, met with the Iranian ambassador to the United Nations.
This meeting was, by the way, denied
Right.
by many sources. However, you're absolutely right. Trump policy is not not yet crafted. And Trump, like Trump, is unpredictable. And he can take an airplane, an Air Force One, and try to go to meet the Iranian leadership the way he did in his first term vis-à-vis North Korea. But on the other hand, as I said, according to the hawks that were chosen to be the Secretary of State and the National Security advisor, both of them are very hawkish on Iran, so he can send the B-2 as well. We will have to wait and see. By the way, agreement is not a problem if it is a good agreement. The problem with the JCPOA from 2015 is that it has a sunset that let the Iranians do whatever they want and gave them a lot of resources to support their terrorist proxies. If the agreement deal with the sunset, if the agreement makes sure that the very aggressive behavior of Iran with the proxies in the Middle East is also checked, I'm not against agreement.
I want to turn to Gaza. Yoav Gallant was ousted as defense minister by Netanyahu, and he told the families of the hostages that Israel had achieved all its objectives in Gaza. There was no reason for Israel to remain there. The only reason is Benjamin Netanyahu, who's holding up a ceasefire deal and failing to bring the hostages home. From your interactions with the security military apparatus, is Yoav Gallant telling the truth?
Yoav Gallant is supported by the military apparatus, both of them thinking that Israel haven't achieved all its goals, but Israel reached to the limit that it can achieve when there is hostages at the hands of the terrorists. Look how Israel is efficient in Lebanon against Hezbollah when there are no terrorists there. So Gallant and the chief of staff and the head of the Shin Bet, they're all telling the prime minister, you haven't used one of your most important cards, which is to say, I'm willing to end this war for all the hostages in one time, bringing them back to Israel. It's become now, in my view, the most important moral objective of this war. But it's not only a moral duty, it's not only a moral obligation, it's also make a lot of sense strategically, because it will enable Israel in the future to attack much more freely in Gaza. And at the time that Israel is now trying to close the war, after Iran and Hezbollah will reach, hopefully, ceasefire, Hamas will be much weaker, because I always say, we killed the leader of Hamas, the terrorist Sinwar. Now we have to kill his vision. And his vision is to continue the war in 7 fronts forever, to irritate and to make Israel weaker. By ending the war, Israel will be stronger.
Do you think the strategy by Israel in Gaza, I mean, Israel is accused of committing egregious crimes against the civilian population, especially women and children, especially in the north of Gaza in the recent weeks. Some believe that Israel is trying to create a buffer zone in the north of Gaza militarily, and there are some speculations that it might want to resettle this part of the Gaza Strip. Do you think this is what is happening, and are you in favor of such a move?
Yeah, you spoke about 3 elements, and let's take them one by one. Israel is not committing war crime at all. The situation in Gaza was created by Hamas, by their murderers' attack on Israel civilian on 7th of October, by taking hostages and refusing to reach agreement. So all the blame on the situation in Gaza is on Hamas. Second, Israel allow humanitarian help to get into Gaza. Hamas is taking this humanitarian help and misuse it. And they take money out of it, even though they get it free. And Israel cannot be blamed for Hamas behavior in Gaza.
The U.S. is blaming Israel for this.
Israel,
the United States has said publicly that
No.
Israel is not doing enough.
not doing enough is not blaming. You are doing as much as you can. Hamas is not cooperating. Israel is giving hundreds of trucks to get into Gaza. The problem is who gets the trucks, who distribute the food. But let's go to your second question. Israel is entering northern Gaza to have more leverages on Hamas. Since Hamas leader doesn't care about, or leadership doesn't care about their people, that doesn't care about 1 million or more than 1 million Gazans that are not living in their home, they only try to keep the hostages to get a higher price, and they will not get it. So Israel is now trying to have more leverages against Hamas, thinking that Hamas will evaluate the territory more than they evaluate the life of the Gazans. On your third question, settling in Gaza is not an option. It's not recommended. It will not happen, even though there are some right-wingers, extreme right-wingers in Israel that dream about it. We haven't gone to the war to resettle in Gaza. We went to the war to dismantle Hamas and to bring back the hostages and to bring back our residents in Western Negev to live safely without the threat of the terrorists, not to have settlement in Gaza.
Amos Yadlin, that's all we have time for. I want to thank you very much for being our guest here on France 24, and thank you all for watching this show.